Hello everyone. Today we are going to see the different types of blockchain consensus mechanism widely used across the industry. Let's dive into the same. Let's see what is consensus mechanism. The definition says a consensus mechanism refers to any number of methodologies used to achieve agreement, trust, and security across a decentralized computer network. What does it mean? We all know that blockchain is a decentralized network where any data stored in a blockchain is stored across a decentralized platform, which means it is not stored in one particular node or server. The consensus mechanism comes into picture where a commonly agreed methodology is followed to choose one node or one computer which has an ability to store the data across the blockchain. Now, let's say it in layman words. Four or five friends have decided to go watch a movie. Now, there are multiple number of movies which are screened in a mall. Now, how are they going to select one particular movie? They might follow different steps or methods. Number one, they might surf across the internet and review the IMDb rating and choose one particular movie which is high in the rating. This is method 1. Method 2, they might call their friends, ask their feedback, and based on their feedback, they can conclude or decide one particular movie. Number 3, they can randomly select one movie, whichever is screening at the latest in the mall. So now we saw three different methods of selecting a movie. These three methods can be referred to consensus mechanism in a blockchain network. So, in a movie watching experience, we saw three different methods. Likewise, in a blockchain network, there are multiple consensus mechanisms available. Now, we will see nine different types which are commonly used across the industry. Proof of work, also known as POW. So proof of work is one of the first ever consensus mechanism used in a blockchain network. And one of its famous utility is Bitcoin. Proof of work process is called mining and the miners are known as nodes. Miners solve complicated mathematical puzzle that requires extensive computational power. For this purpose, miners utilize multiple mining methods like CPU mining, GPU mining, FPGA mining, mining pools, ASIC mining, and many more. Now, basically, how this consensus work is a very tough mathematical problem is given for the participants of the network. These are called nodes. And whichever node solves this particular mathematical problem at first is given an opportunity to mine the next block. So, to solve this mathematical problem, whichever node has got highest capability, that gets the chance to solve the problem and get a chance to be a miner. So, whichever nodes mine this particular block is incentivized. Proof of stake. Blockchain users can lock up their tokens for a certain time for becoming a validator. Generally, the user who owns the biggest stake or owns coins for the longest period of time has better odds of creating a new block. What does it mean? Every blockchain platform has their own tokens or cryptocurrencies, which is used as a reward mechanism. So, the token holders stake these coins in the platform to become a validator. How does the platform select the validator? Whichever validator staked the highest volume of tokens and whoever staked the coins for a longer period of time are chosen to be the next validator to mine the block. There are multiple subcategories of proof of stake that has been implemented across other platforms. You can search all those platforms across the internet. A few examples of proof of stake are Polkadot, Avalanche, and Cardano. Delegated proof of stake. In this process, users can stake their coins and vote for a particular number of delegates. The weight of a user's vote is based on their stake. The delegate that receives the highest number of votes gets a chance to produce new blocks. Delegates get rewarded with transaction fees or a specific amount of coins, just like other blockchain consensus mechanisms, such as proof of stake. What does it mean? The coin holders of the platform, they vote for the assigned delegates. It could be in a physical number from 21 to 101 different participants of delegates. So all the coin holders get a chance to vote to the delegates proportionate to the volume of coins they stake. And the selected delegate gets an opportunity to mine the next block, and that particular delegate will be rewarded with incentives. And a use case example is EOS platform. Proof of activity. Proof of activity mechanism is the combination of proof of work and proof of stake. In proof of activity, miners try to find the solution to a puzzle and claim their reward. So how does it work? So initially, proof of activity starts with the proof of work mechanism. That is, the miners use their computational power and form a block. These blocks have multiple nodes. So whichever block is the longest, that particular block is selected, and in that block, whichever nodes or whichever participants can stake the highest volume of tokens are given an opportunity to mine the next block, and they are rewarded. The example of proof of activity mechanism are Decred and Espers. Proof of authority. Proof of authority mechanism is a modified version of proof of stake, where the identities of the validators in the network are at stake. In this scenario, the identity is the correspondence between validators' personal identification and their official documentation to help verify their identity. These validators stake their reputation on the network. In proof of authority, the nodes that become validators are the only ones allowed to produce new block, which means proof of authority is majorly used across private blockchains, where privacy is a big concern. A company or a group of companies, if they form a blockchain platform to access the records and data across these companies, whereas they don't want any outsiders to be a part of their validator mechanism. So they appoint a pre-approved participant as a validator. So this validator's reputation is the factor to mine the next block as a validator. Proof of burn. With proof of burn, instead of investing into expensive hardware equipment like proof of work, validators burn coins by sending them to an address from where they are irretrievable. By committing the coins to an unreachable address, validators earn a privilege to mine on the system based on a random selection process. Thus, burning coins here means that validators have a long-term commitment in exchange for their short-term loss. How does this mechanism work? Technically, the participants of the network, they send a particular number or volume of tokens to an address where you cannot claim or you cannot get back the sent tokens back to you. However, you will receive the tokens or the equal volume of tokens back from a different smart contract address if you are not selected as a miner. But if you have been selected as a miner, you will get rewards instead of the burnt tokens. The example of this mechanism is Slimcoin, Counterparty, and Factor. Proof of capacity or space. In this method, solutions to complex mathematical puzzles are stored in digital storages such as hard disks. This entire process is called plotting. The users with the highest storage capacity will have higher chances of producing a new block. This mechanism is pretty straightforward as it is mentioned in the name itself. The higher of space, extra space available in the hard disk of a node gets the priority to be a miner. The examples of this particular mechanism is BXTB, Burstcoin, BTC-HT. Proof of elapsed time. In this process, randomly and fairly decides the producer of a new block based on the time they have spent waiting. For this purpose, the mechanism provides a random wait time for each user, and the user whose wait time finishes the earliest will produce a new block. The consensus mechanism only works if the system can verify that no user can run multiple nodes and the wait time is truly random. This mechanism is predominantly used across permission blockchain. And how does it work technically? The consensus mechanism allots a random sleeping time for all the nodes. This sleeping time differs from one node to the other node. Whichever node has the shortest sleeping time sleeps and wakes up get the chance to mine the next block and be rewarded. Proof of importance. This mechanism selects its miners based on certain criteria in a process called harvesting. Common factors include the number and size of transaction the last 30 days, amount of vested currency, and network activity. It's based on these factors that an importance score is attributed to nodes. The higher the score, the higher the probability of being chosen to harvest a block and receive the accompanying transaction fee. In other words, proof of importance work on a very simple basis, which is track record. This mechanism checks the track record of every individual node. Whichever node is more active in terms of vested currency and dedication towards the platform gets higher the chance to be the next miner. And an example of this particular mechanism is Zim. Now that we saw 9 different types of consensus mechanism, let's understand what is the importance of knowing them. See, every business use case is unique. Hence, a single reliable consensus mechanism does not exist yet. But the existing one have evolved. Like we saw, proof of stake has evolved into delegated proof of stake and much more. Likewise, every business use case requires a more connectable consensus mechanism. Hence, every business leader, developers, and architects who work in the blockchain technology must be well informed about the various blockchain consensus. And it's very important to keep you updated in all these mechanisms. So then you can use these consensus mechanism for the appropriate business use case. Thank you.